So everyone ready? We're going to start with a Netflix show. Let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Suresh. I am from ModernLMS. ModernLMS is Moodle Premium Partner based in Kuala Lumpur. I've been a technology instructor for the past 13 years. Most of the time I teach programming, application development, all the boring stuff. I've completed Ocean Man in 2018, and in the past 5 years, I've been a program manager in WordPress open source project. Anyone using WordPress here? Yeah. So today I want to talk about microlearning. Just before we get into that, how many of you have watched the IT crowd? A quick show of hands. Wow. So just like that.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
That's how we solve 50% of technical issues, right? Now think about learning, right? So when it comes to learning, how do you watch IT crowd? Do you watch in 10-hour movie or 1 or 2 episodes at a time? I don't have whiskey bottles, but so that's exactly microlearning. So the definition of microlearning is learning that is delivered in bursts of 5 to 10-minute videos or content or learning packages. Learners today are mobile first and time poor. So I remember in Malaysia, those days, if we have a computer at home, when people visit your home, they will say, wow, you have a computer. And nowadays, if you have a computer at home, when people visit you, they will say, wow, you still have one of this. Still same wow, is just different meaning. So everyone have mobile, and we are really busy with things, and we don't want to watch a 3-hour video or too long to read PDF. That is why TikTok is so popular. Because the concept of TikTok was started with like 30-second videos, right? Anything you deliver, do it in 30 seconds. So what is the benefit of microlearning? First of all, retention, knowledge retention, it improves because we do things in the chunk, a small package, a small learning at a time. Secondly, it fits in our daily schedule or daily workflow. You can do when you commute. You can do while you're listening to my talk. Just like many new modern platforms to learn code, for example. There's a Code Academy. You do things like step by step, and you do some practicals, and it rewards you with badges. Anyone tried Code Academy? Right. So thirdly, it supports just-in-time learning for corporates or for companies that you need to do some compliance training or things that you want to make sure your learners really understand and checked all the boxes that you need. So let's begin how to set up our microlearning now. First of all, some pre-flight setup. You want to ensure completion tracking is enabled. Completion tracking is everything when it comes to microlearning or corporate learnings. So secondly, mobile application is enabled. I'm impressed with how Moodle mobile app is evolved over the time. Now it's with better frameworks using Ionic 8 and much faster compared to like 5-6 years ago. And mobile app is one of the best way to deliver microlearning, especially when it comes to adult learning. Thirdly, you want to install some high-impact plugins. So some of those I use in my microlearning courses is Tiles format. It's just nice format, just like Netflix. You can have a checklist. I use checklists to do micro commitment. I ask questions. I will do this from now on, right? I will complete this. I will create this. So these are the micro commitment learners do to themselves when they check some of the check boxes. Progress block, one of the cool block. course certificates, if you want to issue certificates, if that matters in this part of the world. In Asia, certificates are big things. I don't know why people like to collect a lot of certificates. Questionnaire block, and for gamification, of course, you can use Level Up or Stash. So the first episode of microlearning is about setting up your course. When set up your course, first thing you want to do is select the right format. Section format is just fine. I prefer to use tiles format because it's very neat and clean. The only drawback is it's not supported in mobile app, right? There's no format. Course formats are not supported in Moodle mobile apps. At this point, it's only core formats are supported. Enable completion tracking. This is, again, I'm going to repeat this so many times. Completion tracking is something like must have in Moodle courses for many reasons. It reduces the distractions. The users know where exactly and what to do next. So with just these two steps, you already lay a good foundation for your micro-learning course. Just a quick show how the tiles format works. So you can choose your pictures or icons. So I just have some pictures of one of my AI course. And then you can set some completion, so it can show progress bars, and it can overlay the titles, and some options come with that course format as well that you can customize. So that's the first step. You already set up your course. Let's move on to the next step. Episode 2, build micro modules. So it's time for you to build whatever that you are teaching, whether it's technical, non-technical. I recommend you use some of the different learning objects, such as interactive videos. How many of you have used interactive videos? Perfect. So interactive video is a cool feature, I guess, in H5P that's added to Moodle. You can basically add pause and ask a question, right? And let the user answer. They check the understanding. And you can also simply go back in time. If the user answered it, maybe it's inaccurate, you can ask them to go back and watch and then come back again. So that's a cool feature. Use page. It's the universal learning object in Moodle. Probably page is you can use page for everything, whether it's static content, dynamic content, you want to embed something, question sets, checklist again, and drag and drop feedback. Feedback is one of the good way to collect learner reflections, quick ratings, so you measure the effectiveness and identify areas to improve. So each one of these modules should take not more than 5 to 10 minutes. So the goal here is in microlearning, everything should be between 5 to 10 minutes, or less than 5 minutes, that's still fine, but not more than 10 minutes. This is the example of interactive video. So you can see that the user already played back the interactive video. Towards the end, there is a pop-up asking questions for them to answer. You can give a grade, and you can set your completion tracking. In order to complete this activity, user must receive a grade. Because in corporate learning, I always get questions that, can I force users to watch the video? Of course, we don't want to force learners to do something. It's not a good way in adult learning, but when it comes to compliance, they have to show the proof that the user already watched this, the user already answered these questions. So this is one of the ways that we can do in microlearning, so user can do a quick check before they move on. When you design your micro modules, add some hooks. This is very important, so users will keep engaged, or they know what to do next. So I use 2 different strategies for the hooks. First one is add a sneak peek of what's next, just like all those Korean sitcoms or Korean dramas on Netflix, if it's a thing in this part of the world. They will always show a bit of trailers, what's coming up on the next episode, right? So I will always end my trainings or modules with, say, in the next lesson, you're going to learn about how to write a microservice. right? And so users know, all right, that's what exactly I'm looking for, and they will go next and continue with the next one. Or they will say, all right, this is a topic for me for tomorrow. I'll come back tomorrow. The other hook that I use is when I start the second episode or the second chapter, I always start with a recap. So I will say, you already learned A, B, C in the previous topic. Now let's move on with C, D, E. So if I'm a learner and I see that the previous chapter already covers C, I didn't notice that. I only know about A and B. So I'll just go back and make sure I'm on track before I continue with the second module. So that's the two hooks I use. By combining sneak peek and recaps, you give learners both anticipation and reinforcement, the two most effective level of re-engagement for your microlearning. So moving on to chapter 3, engagement and motivation. Engagement happens when learners feel progress, recognition, and connection. That's a famous quote from me, if you're wondering. So how do we show the progress, recognition, and connection? For motivations, I use progress bar. It's a very old block, probably most of you have seen, but it's a very useful block to show users where they are and what's coming up next and which one they have to redo and so on. Learner clearly see how they come and how far they need to go. So that's really important when it comes to microlearning. The second one I use is badges. So I know badges is not a big thing when it comes to adults, but small things, users will appreciate, learners will appreciate small things that you award to them. So Moodle will give you a notification in the systems, right? When you get a badge, congratulations, you just unlocked a badge or you just received a badge. So that's a small motivation for them to go next. They are portable credentials, so learners can showcase in some other platform if they want to backport it somewhere else. The third one I use is Level Up. Some programs we use this to award points, and then we configure in a way that your points are awarded when you do some activities and you do some submissions. And you can customize a lot of things with this block. How many of you have tried this Level Up? Wow, that's great. And the last thing for motivations is I use Stash. Again, quick show of hand. How many of you have used Stash? Yeah, not many of you. Stash is a cool block as well. It allows you to collect things. So what you can do is you can configure like a badge, or you can configure, something like in a game. So let's say a trophy or something. And then when you set it up in the Stash block, it will give you an embed code, like a HTML embed code. Now I think it's improved. It's probably just a code you don't have to do in HTML. You can just do it in your WYSIWYG editor or TinyMC editor. And then the user will see that anywhere that you embed it. So usually you can add that in the page or in a book that contain multiple pages, or you can hide it in a lesson, anywhere that allows you to add a HTML. Unfortunately, H5P contents are not HTML ready now, so, but there are some maybe activity types that you can use other than books, page, and any other activity that allow you to embed those codes. So what happens is user will click pick up and it will go to the block. So they can collect multiple things throughout the course, and it goes to the block, something like this. It will show what are the things they have collected. And then they can go and trade it off for something else. For example, you can offer a t-shirt. If you have 5 badges, you can just trade it off for a t-shirt, right? So that's a trade center, and in the trade center, you can set it up what they can like switch it off, but it's depending on your creativity, like how you want to configure it so they can trade it off for different items. So that is motivations, right? So it motivates users when it comes to learning, so they get small things or they pick up things, so they know that they need to pick up next thing in the next episode, for example. Now let's jump into engagement. How many of you have played this game at any point of your life? It's whether now or like 10 years back, at any level of age, kids, grandmas. So how do the game work? What keeps you to play the game again and again and again? Anyone? Again, I don't have whiskey bottles, but I'm expecting some answers at this point. So what keep you keep playing Candy Crush? Rewards, scores, levels, right? Levels, scores, rewards, yeah, the levels. So you go from first level to the second level to the third levels. That keep you like, I need to make sure I go to the 30th level or 40th level. I heard Candy Crush has hundreds of levels. It's crazy. I gave up at 31. So for engagement, you can use drip feed content. How we can drip feed contents in Moodle is using restriction settings. There's one tiny eye icon in restrictions, right? I'm sorry, I don't have that slide, picture here. What does it mean, the eye icon, when you set up your restrictions? Yes?
Whether the student can see what the restriction is.
Yes, whether the content is visible to the students or not. If you close the eye, the content is completely invisible when the student did not fulfill the rules. When you did not close the eye, the content is visible, but it shows the rules. For example, you should complete activity 1, 2, 3 in order to see activity 4, right? So you can use restriction settings to drip feed content, so you can show what's coming up next, but you can't unlock this unless you complete level 1, right? That's a very typical way we do it, but when it comes to adult learning, we should not use too much of restrictions that sometimes can demotivate them, right? So not everything to be restricted. That's important as well. Again, progress block is very useful for engagement. Forum is one of the important tools as well I use in microlearning, because when some of the peer post the questions, and it sends out notification to all my students, and the rest of them will come back and say, I know this, let me answer this, right? The peer learning is happening in forum. So peer learning is one of the key tools that we should use in microlearning as well. Are you guys still with me? Okay, so let's move on to the last point about when you already set up the course and you already have some engagement, you already have some motivation set up for your learners. Next thing is you want to polish it and improve the course. So for polishing and improving, I'll give you several hints that I use in my programs. First of all, I'll always add a time estimate. So when I set up a course, I will add like 5-minute H5P AI introduction. That gives students an idea like what's the commitment for this module, whether they want to start now or not. All right, I can do 5 minutes now, so they'll just go ahead and start the lecture. Rather than just having H5P AI introduction, they have no clue like how long it's going to take for them to complete that. So I find that adding time estimate is the easiest way when it comes microlearning to let students know that, hey, come on, it's just 5 minutes. Just finish it now, not tomorrow. Another way is to use time estimate to improve the course. So when I set up a course, I will always always add a time estimate. So for polishing and improving, I'll give you several hints that I use in my programs. First of all, I'll always always add a time estimate. So when I set up a course, I will add like 5-minute H5P AI introduction. That gives students an idea like what's the commitment for this module, whether they want to start now or not. All right, I can do 5 minutes now, so they'll just go ahead and start the lecture. Rather than just having H5P AI introduction, they have no clue like how long it's going to take for them to complete that. So I find that adding time estimate is the easiest way when it comes microlearning to let students know that, hey, come on, it's just 5 minutes. Just finish it now, not tomorrow. Keep every screen dense but short. No wall of text. I think that's golden rule of microlearning. Use one clear call to action per module, right? So watch 5-minute video. That's all you need to do for this module. Take 3 questions. Post 1 sentence in this assignment. Post 1 discussion in this forum. So be very clear with the actions they need to take and be very specific about the numbers, fact and figures. Keep 1 learning outcome per micro unit. So 1 learning outcome rather than having so many things in 1 module. So I always like to break it down into smaller parts so I can see where my learners stuck. Provide transcript for videos. This is very important, especially people like me. I watch English movie with English subtitles. Like in these 3 days when I had a conversation with different people, I feel like I need subtitles sometimes, especially with Scottish people. So transcript make the course accessible, especially when people learn on the go. If they are on the subway or tube and they're watching a video, no headphones, subtitles, everything. We do that most of the time when we scroll TikTok without headphones, and we can see the subtitle that makes some sense what we are watching. So if possible, add subtitles. And finally, as the educator or instructor, make sure you test your course as a student. That's a very important point. Most of the time, we just assume that this is fine, it's going to be good, but we miss that point that sometimes something is not just working or it's not as expected. Points to improve, catching up. You already polished, now you want to improve. Please read the activity completion report. So it briefly tell you where your learners stuck because you're tracking every modules. Course participation report can show you which modules doing good. And if you have any learning analytics or report builder or any other third-party plugins, you can use that to show you more insights about your learners' activities. So before I end, I want to end you with one important thought here.
It's 7 o'clock. Hey, it's 7 o'clock. Hey, it's 7 o'clock. Hey, o'clock. O'clock.
That's exactly what microlearning should feel like. Small attempt, immediate feedback, freedom to learn without fear of failing. Thank you so much.
We do have about 5 minutes if you did want to take any questions. So were there any questions at all? Yep.
Thanks. Thank you for the presentation. With those learning apps, I usually get notifications saying, okay, you haven't done this part, revisit the course. Is there anything that we can do in Moodle that can do that as well? Just reminding students that, okay, you haven't finished yet, you're incomplete, please finish.
Yeah, that's a good way to use notifications in Moodle. It's just most of my programs are not associated with dates or deadlines. So those are mobile application development or plugin development. People come in and go at any point of time, so there's no deadlines. But forum notifications still a good way to push to the mobile app. Forum notification work fine on the mobile apps. So definitely notification is one of the key factor in microlearning as well. You can set deadlines, then Moodle application will send notifications for them. But without deadlines at this point, there's no. But there are some third-party plugins can do that. If the students did not visit your course, then you can push some notification for them.
How do you go about looking at what each learning objective would be? How do you plan that out so it still flows and they want to learn more, but it's not overwhelming?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
How do you plan out, how you're going to do each segment of microlearning? How do you go about doing that so that it's enough learning but not overwhelming?
Yeah, that's always a challenge when it comes to technical trainings. For example, if I'm teaching large language models, and it's a lot of things to teach, but sometimes it can be overwhelming. But I always look at what is one outcome or one key takeaway for that particular unit, right? And my focus is always that. And I do give sometimes some lengthy files for them to recap or if you want to learn more, but my coverage or my focus is always on that key takeaway. So I always go back in this chapter, what is one key takeaway for my learner? What I want them to really understand before they move on to the next chapter.
Hi, it's kind of dumb question. Is this part of an app that you have developed? I mean, all these features that you talked, or is it an action that you do? I'm sorry, I didn't know that. That's why I wanted to ask you.
No worries. There's no such thing as dumb question. Questions are a great way to start learning. So basically, these are the strategies I use. So there's no specific app. There's nothing that is specific for this. So I just use Moodle apps and a bunch of plugin that's freely available on Moodle plugin page. So I already shared the slides. I believe the slides will be shared with all the audience later. So you can always go back and look at those plugins, and you can use this strategy setting up courses for professionals or adult learnings.
Hey, I have a follow-up on the question concerning the notifications and reminders. We have been using a combination of two plugins for doing so. One is the Pulse plugin, which sends email reminders based on certain restrictions, like the usual availabilities. And the other one is what is called relative date. This one helps sending reminders, notifications not based on fixed dates, but based on relative dates. So you could go saying, I want this notification to be sent 3 weeks after not having completed exercise activity A, B, or C. And this gives for quite some interesting combinations for reminders.
That point is a perfect example of peer learning in microlearning. Thank you for that.